The words hit William like a punch to the gut. "You're no son of mine if you're choosing that lifestyle," his father snarled, while his mother wept in the corner of their cozy Chicago home. In that moment, the family that had raised him turned their backs, calling him nothing but a burden because he was gay. William stood frozen in the living room, the familiar scent of his mother's pot roast still lingering from dinner, now soured by the accusation hanging in the air. His sister, Emily, stared at the floor, unable to meet his eyes. The phone screen that had betrayed him still glowed on the coffee table, the message from James plain for everyone to see. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Love you." He had planned to tell them gently, maybe over time, but the accidental glance at his unlocked phone had ripped everything open in seconds. "We gave you everything, William," his mother choked out between sobs. "And this is how you repay us? What will the neighbors say? What about the family business? You're supposed to take over the construction company, get married, give us grandchildren. Not this." His father pointed a thick finger toward the door. "Pack your things and get out. Don't come back until you've fixed yourself." William's hands trembled as he climbed the stairs to his childhood bedroom, the same room where he had hidden magazines under his mattress as a teen, terrified of this exact moment. He threw clothes into a duffel bag, his mind racing. At 28, he had a decent job as a junior software developer downtown, but it wasn't enough to survive on his own yet. The weight of their disappointment crushed him. Was he really the burden they claimed? The one who had always tried to make them proud, working summers on the construction sites, smiling through Sunday dinners? By midnight, he was on a bus to New York City, the only place he could think of where he might disappear and start over. James met him at the Greyhound station in Manhattan, his tall frame cutting through the crowd like a beacon. James had been his secret for 2 years now, ever since they met at a tech conference in Chicago. Tall, with kind brown eyes and a laugh that could lighten any room, James worked as a marketing strategist in Brooklyn. "Hey, you made it," James said softly, pulling William into a hug right there on the sidewalk. No judgment, just steady arms and the faint smell of his cologne. "We'll figure this out together." The first weeks in James's small apartment were a blur of job applications and cheap takeout. William landed a freelance gig coding apps for local startups, but the nights were the hardest. He would lie awake, replaying his father's voice, wondering if he had ruined everything. James would roll over and whisper, "You're not a burden, Will. You're brave." But the words felt hollow against the silence from Chicago. No calls, no text from his family. Emily sent one message. "Dad says not to contact us." William threw himself into work, late nights at the tiny desk in the corner, building prototypes for a family communication app he had dreamed up years ago. It was ironic, really, creating something to connect families when his own had shattered. James supported him without question, cooking meals and listening to every frustrated rant. Their relationship deepened in the quiet moments. Walks through Central Park, where William finally let himself hold James's hand in public without looking over his shoulder. For the first time, he felt seen. But the psychological toll lingered. Every happy couple on the subway reminded him of what he had lost. "Do you think they'll ever understand?" he asked James one rainy evening. James kissed his forehead. "Some people take time, but you don't owe them your happiness." As winter turned to spring, William's freelance work picked up. A small startup noticed his portfolio and offered him a full-time role developing user interfaces. The paycheck wasn't huge, but it was stability. He started saving, dreaming of his own place, of proving to himself that he could stand alone. Yet the ache remained. His mother's birthday came and went without a card from him, fear holding him back. James encouraged him to reach out, but William shook his head. They made it clear. "I'm the problem." The conflict gnawed at him daily, turning small arguments into bigger doubts. Was loving James worth losing his entire world? By the end of the year, William had earned a promotion and a modest raise. He and James celebrated with pizza on the fire escape, the city lights twinkling below. To new beginnings, James toasted with a soda can. William smiled, but inside, the question burned. How long could he carry the label of burden before it broke him completely? The city offered freedom, but the ghosts of Chicago followed him everywhere. James's steady presence became William's anchor as the months blurred into a new routine. They spent weekends exploring Brooklyn flea markets or catching indie films in small theaters, Moments that felt stolen from a life William had never dared imagine. But cracks began to show. One evening, after a long day at the office, William came home to find James scrolling through old photos on his phone. "Who's this?" James asked, holding up a picture of William at his sister's wedding, smiling beside a girl he had pretended to date in college to keep up appearances. William froze. "Just an old friend. You know how it was back home." James nodded, but the hurt in his eyes lingered. "I get it, well. But sometimes I feel like I'm still your secret, even here." The misunderstanding cut deeper than William expected. He had introduced James to his new co-workers as his boyfriend, but the shadow of his family's rejection made him hesitant to post anything online or talk about their life too openly. "It's not you," William insisted during their first real fight. "It's everything I left behind. I don't want them to find out and make it worse." James sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I love you, but I won't be hidden forever. You left Chicago to be free, right?" The words hung between them as James slept on the couch that night. William stared at the ceiling, the psychological weight pressing down. Had he traded one cage for another? Work became his escape. The startup he joined was developing tools for small businesses, and William poured his energy into refining the family communication features he had sketched years ago. His boss noticed. "You've got real talent for this, Thompson. Keep it up." Late nights turned into early mornings, coffee fueling ideas that finally felt like progress. He pitched a new module that could help families bridge generational gaps through shared calendars and video check-ins. The team loved it, and suddenly William was leading a small project. Success tasted sweet, but it came with isolation. He skipped happy hours with colleagues, afraid small talk would lead back to his past. James tried to bridge the gap. He surprised William with tickets to a Broadway show, their first real date night in months. During intermission, James took his hand openly. "See? The world doesn't end." William laughed, but inside, doubt festered. What if his family somehow saw? What if the burden label followed him here? A week later, an unexpected email arrived from Emily. "Mom's been asking about you. Dad's pride won't let him say it, but things are tight at the company. Just thought you should know." William deleted it without replying, the old guilt surging. James found him brooding at the kitchen table. "You can't keep punishing yourself. Or me." Their conversation stretched into the night, raw and honest. William admitted the fear. "I don't want to drag you into my mess. What if I'm not worth it?" James pulled him close. "You're worth everything. But you have to choose us." The turning point came subtly. William submitted his app prototype to a city innovation contest on a whim. Weeks passed, and he forgot about it amid deadlines. Then the call came. He had won second place and a small grant. The check was enough for a deposit on their own apartment. James beamed when he heard. "This is your moment, Will." They toasted with cheap wine on the rooftop, the skyline glowing. Yet the victory felt hollow without family to share it. William started therapy quietly, unpacking the years of hiding. The counselor helped him see the pattern. Actions driven by fear led to consequences of loneliness. He began small steps, posting a photo of him and James at the park. No captions, just the image. But the misunderstanding with James escalated when an old college friend visited New York and mentioned William's secret life back home. James overheard and confronted him. "Is that still how you see us? A secret?" William's explanation fell flat. James packed a bag for a friend's place. "I need space to think." Alone in the apartment, William faced the mirror, the man staring back no longer the scared kid from Chicago. The psychological storm raged, but for the first time, he recognized his own strength. He had built something real here. The question was whether he could fight for it without losing everything again. Spring rains washed the city clean as William sat alone, typing code late into the night, determined to turn his pain into something that mattered. The grant money arrived just in time. William used it to expand the app, now called BridgeLink, designed to help families like his own reconnect without judgment. Investors noticed after the contest buzz, and suddenly he was in meetings with venture capitalists in glass-walled offices overlooking the Hudson. "Your story behind this code is compelling," one investor said. William smiled tightly, never revealing the full truth. Success felt like armor, shielding him from the echoes of his father's voice. He upgraded their living situation, signing a lease on a sunny one-bedroom in Queens with a view of the river. James moved back after a tense week apart, the misunderstanding patched with long talks and promises. No more hiding, William vowed. James nodded, but trust needed time to rebuild. Work consumed him. Late nights became the norm as BridgeLink gained traction among small businesses. William hired a junior developer and started mentoring her, seeing echoes of his younger self in her ambition. The psychological growth was slow but real. Therapy sessions helped him reframe the rejection. Their expectations aren't your identity, his counselor repeated. He began volunteering at an LGBTQ youth center on weekends, sharing coding workshops. The kids looked up to him, and for the first time, William felt like a role model instead of a burden. James supported every step, attending gallery openings and celebrating small wins with home-cooked dinners. Their love deepened into something steady, built on shared routines and quiet affirmations. Then the first crack from Chicago appeared. Emily called one evening, her voice shaky. Dad's construction company is struggling. The economy hit hard, and they're behind on loans. Mom won't admit it, but she's worried. William gripped the phone, heart pounding. Why tell me now? Emily sighed. Because you're doing well out there. We saw your name in that tech article. Just think about it. He hung up, the old guilt crashing back. James listened quietly. You don't owe them anything, but maybe this is your chance to close the door properly. William shook his head. They disown me. Why should I help? The conflict tore at him for days, affecting his focus at work. A deadline slipped, and his boss pulled him aside. Everything okay? Your head's not in it. To cope, William doubled down on the app, adding features for family reconciliation stories submitted by users. The irony wasn't lost on him. Beta testers raved, and BridgeLink hit 10,000 downloads. Media picked it up. Local dev creates app to mend broken bonds. James framed the article and hung it in their living room. This is you, Will. Turning pain into progress. Their relationship flourished again. Weekend getaways to the Hamptons brought laughter and long beach walks, where William finally opened up about childhood memories of hiding who he was. James shared his own coming-out story from a conservative Ohio family, the parallel paths strengthening their bond. We're proof it gets better, James said, kissing him under the stars. But societal pressure lingered. At a company happy hour, colleagues asked about his family. William deflected with jokes, the weight of the lie pressing down. That night, he confided in James. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be free of it. James held him. You already are. The rest is just noise. The major turning point approached unnoticed. BridgeLink secured seed funding, valuing the company at over $1 million on paper. William's equity stake made him comfortable for the first time. He sent anonymous donations to local charities, including one supporting displaced youth, a quiet act of healing. Yet the family silence gnawed. A letter arrived from his mother. We miss you. Your father won't say it, but the business needs a miracle. William stared at the words for hours, the decision forming like code compiling in his mind. He wasn't the boy they rejected anymore. Actions would speak louder than words. The psychological shift was profound. He felt ready to face consequences, whatever they brought. James sensed the change. Whatever you decide, I'm here. Together, they stood on the balcony, the city humming below, unaware of the storm about to break. The betrayal came without warning. William had been finalizing the funding deal when an old college acquaintance, someone from Chicago who had moved to New York, posted on social media about spotting Will Thompson living his best secret life with his boyfriend. The post tagged William and included a blurry photo from a park outing. It spread quickly among mutual friends, including a cousin back home. By morning, his phone exploded with messages. Emily called first. Dad saw it. He's furious all over again. Says you embarrassed the family name. William's stomach dropped. The misunderstanding with James resurfaced when James saw the post, and the comments questioning if William had been ashamed all along. You swore no more secrets, James said quietly, hurt flashing in his eyes. I didn't post it. Someone else did. But the damage was done. James needed space again, crashing with a coworker while William faced the fallout alone. The psychological toll was immediate. Sleepless nights blurred into work errors. The investors noticed his distraction during a crucial pitch meeting. "We love the product, but we need full commitment," they warned. William pushed through, but inside, the label of burden returned with vengeance. He had sacrificed openness for peace, and now both worlds collided. A heated call with his father confirmed the worst. "We knew you'd drag us down eventually. Stay away." The rejection stung fresh, years of progress crumbling in minutes. William wandered the city streets, the vibrant energy mocking his inner chaos. He skipped therapy, letting doubt consume him. Was loving James the ultimate mistake? Had success only highlighted his failures? In the midst of it, the app launched publicly. BridgeLink went viral overnight, users sharing stories of mended relationships. Revenue poured in, turning William's equity into real wealth. But the joy was tainted. James returned after a week, eyes red from his own sleepless nights. "I overreacted. But I need you to fight for us, not hide." They reconciled slowly, late-night conversations peeling back layers of fear. William admitted the betrayal had exposed his deepest insecurity, the fear that his identity would always cost him everything. James shared his own pain from past relationships. Love isn't supposed to be a secret battle. Their bond strengthened through the honesty, but the family crisis escalated. The construction company filed for bankruptcy protection. Emily's texts grew desperate. "They're losing the house. Please, Will." William made the decision in silence. He wired money anonymously through a lawyer, enough to cover the loans and keep the business afloat. No note, no name. It was his sacrifice, proving he wasn't the burden they believed. The action lifted some weight, but the psychological aftermath lingered. He threw himself into expanding BridgeLink with new AI features for conflict resolution, channeling pain into innovation. Colleagues praised the updates, unaware of the personal cost. James supported him through it all, planning a quiet weekend trip to the Catskills to reset. There, under pine trees, William finally voiced the turning point. "I don't need their approval anymore. But I won't let them fall if I can help." James smiled. "That's the man I love." Yet the secret help backfired when Emily traced the funds. "It was you, wasn't it? Dad won't accept charity from you." The words cut deep, reigniting the cycle. William faced the mirror again, deciding this was the moment to stop running. He booked a flight to Chicago, heart pounding with resolve. The major shift had arrived. No more hiding, no more half measures. Success had given him power, but growth demanded confrontation. As the plane took off, William gripped James's hand beside him. "Come with me. It's time." James nodded, the loyalty unwavering despite the rifts. The city lights faded below, carrying them toward the truth that would change everything. Chicago looked smaller from the airport taxi window, the familiar skyline stirring memories William had buried deep. James sat beside him, quiet strength radiating as they pulled up to the family home. The construction yard next door stood half empty, equipment gathering dust. William's hands shook as he knocked. His mother opened the door, eyes widening. "William." The embrace was hesitant, tears flowing. Inside, his father sat at the kitchen table, papers spread like a battlefield. "What are you doing here?" he growled, but the fight had left his voice. Emily hovered nearby, relief etched on her face. "He helped us, Dad. The money that saved the loans." It was him. The revelation hung heavy. William stood tall. "I didn't come for thanks. I came because despite everything, you're still my family." His father stared, the label of burden cracking under the weight of facts. William explained BridgeLink, the success, the anonymous aid. "I built something that helps families talk. Turns out my lifestyle didn't break me. It made me stronger." The psychological confrontation unfolded over hours. Accusations flew, old wounds reopened. His mother admitted the fear. "We thought we'd lose you to that world." James spoke up gently. "You never lost him. He just needed room to be himself." The turning point crystallized when his father broke down, shoulders shaking. "I was wrong. Pride nearly cost me my son." It wasn't instant forgiveness, but it was a door opening. Back in New York, the high of reconciliation mixed with new challenges. BridgeLink's valuation soared after a major partnership with a national nonprofit. William's bank account reflected the reality. He could now buy back the family business if needed. But sacrifice loomed. Investors pushed for full-time relocation to Silicon Valley for expansion. James's job was rooted in New York. "I won't ask you to choose," James said one night. William faced the decision head-on. "We build this together or not at all." He negotiated remote leadership, keeping their life intact. The growth was evident. Past misunderstandings had taught him that love required action, not just words. Family visits began tentatively. Emily came to New York first, meeting James over brunch. "He's good for you," she whispered. His parents followed months later, awkward dinners turning into genuine conversations. His father toured the office, pride flickering. "Never thought I'd see this." The emotional climax built slowly. William hosted a small gathering at their apartment, BridgeLink team mingling with his family. Toasts were made, not to perfection, but to second chances. Yet one final secret surfaced. His father had kept every article about William's success hidden in a drawer. "I was too stubborn to say it," he admitted. The truth forced William to confront his own bitterness. He had grown beyond the boy they rejected. James proposed quietly on their anniversary, a simple ring on the same beach from their early days. William said yes, tears mixing with laughter. The journey had reshaped him, from disowned son to successful partner, from burden to bridge builder. But the psychological scars remained teaching tools. He volunteered more at the youth center, sharing his story without shame. Success wasn't just money. It was the freedom to help without strings. As the company prepared its next funding round, William reflected on the path. Actions had consequences, but so did courage. The family business stabilized under new management he funded, his sister taking a role. Life wove together, imperfect but whole. The boardroom buzzed with energy as William closed the deal that catapulted BridgeLink into the big leagues. Champagne flowed, but his mind drifted to the small house in Chicago where his parents now hosted Sunday dinners without the old tension. James stood beside him, ring glinting under the lights, their partnership the steady foundation through every storm. The road hadn't been linear. Misunderstandings had tested them, betrayals from outsiders had stung, and sacrifices had reshaped priorities. Yet here they were, stronger for every choice. William had faced himself in the mirror more times than he could count, emerging with clarity. Identity wasn't a burden. It was power when claimed fully. Family gatherings evolved into something warmer. His father even asked James for business advice on modernizing the construction firm, a quiet acceptance that spoke volumes. "You did good, son," he muttered one evening over coffee. William's mother baked for their visits, including James without hesitation. Emily thrived as operations manager, crediting her brother's turnaround for inspiring her own growth. The societal pressures that once crushed him now fueled advocacy. William spoke at industry panels about inclusive workplaces, turning personal pain into broader change. Success had circled back, not as revenge, but as redemption. He funded scholarships for LGBTQ youth in tech, ensuring no one else carried the weight alone. James and William bought a house in the suburbs, a yard for weekend barbecues, and space to breathe. Evenings filled with laughter, planning a future that included maybe fostering kids someday. The psychological maturity showed in small ways. William no longer flinched at family photos or hesitated to post about their life. Love had proven resilient through betrayal and doubt. One crisp autumn day, they hosted both families in New York. Stories flowed freely, the old wounds fading into lessons. His father raised a glass. "To the man who saved us all, even when we didn't deserve it." William met James's eyes across the table, the romantic spark as bright as the first time. As the leaves turned and holidays approached, William reflected on the full circle. From that slammed door in Chicago to this room full of chosen and blood family, every decision had carved his path. He had sacrificed pride for connection, faced secrets head-on, and grown beyond expectations. The journey wasn't over, but the foundation was unbreakable. James squeezed his hand under the table. "We made it." William smiled, heart full. The man once labeled a burden now lifted everyone around him. Was family acceptance truly unconditional only after success proved worthiness? Or could it exist from the start without any conditions at all? True or false?